Welcome to the Incultun course titled The Importance of Marketing and Social Branding in Tourism Destinations. My name is Laura Gavinelli, I am a management consultant and trainer, and I collaborate with the University of Pisa to this project under the scientific direction of Professor Enrica Lemmi. I am happy to be here to accompany you through the course and its contents that I created for you. This video is to introduce goal, structure, and contents of our course. The question we will try to answer with this course is the following: how can marketing and local community contribute to turn peripheral areas into sustainable tourism destinations? To answer this question, the first thing to do is talk about tourism and understand why it is so important for local development. Tourism is certainly one of the most important economic sectors within the global economy. It is because of the strong impact it produces both on the territory and the destinations and on local communities and their activities. Just to give you some recent evidence that help us to demonstrate what I've just said, the World Travel and Tourism Council has published the data referring to 2022 and compared with 2021 and 2019. That means with the pre- and post-pandemic period. Data show that tourism recorded an impact on GDP, gross domestic product, of 7.9% in 2022, with an increase of 22% compared to 2021. This value is lower than that of 2019, but only 23%. Furthermore, tourism generated 22 million new jobs, with an increase of 7.9% compared to 2021. Also in this case, the values are only 11.4% lower than 2019. If we want to summarize in a nutshell how well managed tourism contributes to the development of territories, we would talk about economic growth, job opportunities, local development, but also conditions that make a territory more attractive, such as the observation and enhancement of cultural heritage, the environmental protection and conditions to safety and peace for both residents and visitors. Even in this case, the data helps us to highlight this phenomenon. 1/10 of all jobs in global economy is generated by tourism. 7% of exports, equal to $1.3 billion, are generated by tourism, as is 30% of the export of services. The average impact of tourism on GDP in the pre-COVID period is 10%. These are all data that come from the United Nations World Tourism Organization and the World Travel and Tourism Council. The Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, also recalled the importance of tourism in the process of recovering and restarting the global economy after the pandemic. In a recent statement, he indicated 5 pillars in which to invest to restart the entire tourism sector, also for the benefit of local populations. Let's watch the video of his statement.
Tourism is one of the world's most important economic sectors. It employs 1 in every 10 people on Earth and provides livelihoods to hundreds of millions more. It boosts economies and enables countries to thrive. It allows people to experience some of the world's cultural and natural riches and brings people closer to each other, highlighting our common humanity. Indeed, one might say that tourism is itself one of the wonders of the world. That is why it has been so painful to see how tourism has been devastated by the COVID-19 pandemic. In the first 5 months of this year, international tourist arrivals decreased by more than half, and some $320 billion in exports from tourism were lost. Overall, some 120 million direct jobs in tourism are at risk. Many are in the informal economy or in micro, small and medium-sized enterprises which employ a high proportion of women and young people. The crisis is a major shock for developed economies, but for developing countries it is an emergency, particularly for many small island developing states and African countries. For women, rural communities, indigenous peoples, and many other historically marginalized populations, Tourism has been a vehicle for integration, empowerment, and generating income. Tourism is also a key pillar for the conservation of natural and cultural heritage. The fall in revenues has led to increased poaching and habitat destruction in and around protected areas, and the closure of many World Heritage sites has deprived communities of vital livelihoods. It is imperative that we rebuild the tourism sector, but it must be in a way that is safe, equitable, and climate-friendly. Transport-related greenhouse gas emissions could rebound sharply if recovery is not aligned with climate goals. Supporting the millions of livelihoods that depend on tourism means building a sustainable and responsible travel experience that is safe for host communities, workers, and travelers. To aid recovery, I have identified 5 priority areas. First, mitigate the socio-economic impacts of the crisis. Second, build resilience across the entire tourism value chain. Third, maximize the use of technology in the tourism sector. Fourth, promote sustainability and green growth. And fifth, foster partnerships to enable tourism to further support the Sustainable Development Goals. Let us ensure that tourism regains its position as a provider of decent jobs, stable incomes, and the protection of our cultural and natural heritage. Thank you.
As stated by Gutierrez, sustainability and the green transition are points of no return for the future of tourism, but also for the one of our planet. So the issue of green and sustainability has become a lens through which to look at the present and the future, both at the institutional level and in terms of corporate practices and individual behavior. In this regard, I give you some example of the United Nations World Travel Organization, which for 3 years has dedicated its annual report to how to make tourism greener, smarter, and more inclusive. In particular, in 2020, it introduced the topic of sustainable development to rethink tourism. In 2021, it provided an in-depth analysis on the necessary and progressive green transformation, while the 2022 report presented the results and good practices. Now that we have understood how important tourism is and in relation to which issues it is proceeding, we can ask ourselves what is the importance of peripheral areas in tourism. With the advent of the COVID-19, it has become even more evident that how the less frequented areas can become particularly attractive tourism destinations, being in line with the more recent needs of tourists. Since they are located in more remote places, these destinations can offer greater tranquility, less crowding, but at the same time be a source of authentic experiences, not mass-produced or industrialized. They can be also more sustainable, richer in psychophysical stimuli and benefits. Even the cultural offering, if well calibrated to its audience, can be a value added, a value multiplier in peripheral areas. Well, now that we have connected the topic of tourism to that of peripheral areas, we are to discover the objectives and contents of our course. The course Importance of Marketing and Social Branding in Tourism Destinations aims to provide the basic principles of marketing applied to sustainable tourism destinations and how to involve locals in its representation and promotion. The course also offers tools on branding, communication, and participatory planning mechanisms. The contents are addressed from a double perspective: a theoretical framework together with a practical approach through cases, tools, examples, and interviews to professionals. All this is to allow you to operate in your territory and obtain results. Going into more detail with the course, we can say that it is structured into 3 thematic sections which contain video lessons and dedicated materials. In section 1, dedicated to marketing and branding principles, we will have 3 lessons called units, 1 on the theoretical framework of marketing, 1 on its logic and the planning phases, and 1 on branding and the enhancement of local identity. Section 2, dedicated to destination promotion and storytelling, contains 3 units that deal with the principles of communication and its mechanisms, marketing communication, and the importance of involving visitors through social media and gamification. Section 3 is dedicated to the involvement of locals and contains 3 units on the stakeholders of the territory to collaborate with, therefore their mapping, the role of Ecomuseum as a key actor for the cultural tourist development of the peripheral area, and the role of local community. All 3 sections of the course also include thematic insights. In Section 1 we will talk about how to plan a tourist experience. In Section 2 we will see how DMOs, destination management organizations, use communication to promote their destinations, and we will also see how gamification is becoming an increasingly used and pervasive mode of engagement. Finally, in Section 3 we will have 2 focuses, one on the Italian Ecomuseum, located in Friuli region, and the other on the role of the community manager in coordinating participation mechanisms in local development. The course also offers a rich series of further in-depth material organized by section and by topics, which will give you the opportunity to go beyond the contents of the video lessons and learn according to your personal interests. Finally, at the end of each section, you will find a quiz with correct answers reported. It is a useful tool for your self-evaluation. With this slide, you can have a glimpse on how rich and articulated the path you are about to undertake is. While in this slide, we have the suggested order to proceed with the units and the dedicated focuses. Fine, it's time to wish you a fruitful journey within the Incultum project. Let's begin.